Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Joshua Hawley again, reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam with translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I have taken the decision to read daily from the Srimad Bhagavatam and record this as a yajna, sacrifice to Lord Vishnu, as the original conception of the Srimad Bhagavatam was also a yajna, sacrifice, in order to counteract the demoniac influences of the world at that time. Now we're seeing extraordinarily evil influence in the world today. And so I am taking it upon myself, in whatever little way that I can or may, to also read aloud from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is day 3 of recording. I've been reading relatively consistently up until text 17. The format is that I'm reading the Sanskrit to English transliteration, the English literal translation, and then the purport by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And I'm reading 3 slokas each time. This is something that I haven't been doing, but normally the Bhagavatam is predicated with the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya invocation. This is done 3 times, so I will start with this, and I will also recite 3 slokas that are commonly recited before the recitation of any Bhagavatam verses. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayanta Sto Yavadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam. This is, as I said, first canto, chapter 1, entitled Questions by the Sages, text number 17. Tasya karmani udarani parigatani suribihi ruhina shradhananam lilaya dadata kala. Tasya karmani udarani parigitani suribihi bruhina shradhananam lilaya dadata kalaha. Tasya karmani udarani parigatani suribihi bruhina shradhananam lilaya dadata kalaha. So this is the actual Sanskrit. I'm not sure if that's going to show up clearly. And then you have the transliteration of the Sanskrit, and then the shloka, and then the purport. I'm not sure how clear that is, but you can see how the original text is there. So this is the original Sanskrit shloka, and then the English transliteration, the word-for-word translation to English, the English literal translation of the verse, and then the purport. Technical difficulties. Purport. The personality of Godhead is never inactive, as some less intelligent persons suggest. His works are magnificent and magnanimous. His creations, both material and spiritual, are all wonderful and contain all variegatedness. They are described nicely by such liberated souls as Srila Narada, Vyas, Valmiki, Devala, Asita, Madhva, Sri Chaitanya, Ramanuja, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, Sridhar, Vishwanath, Baladev, Bhaktivinoda, Siddhanta Saraswati, and many other learned and self-realized souls. These creations, both material and spiritual, are full of opulence, beauty, and knowledge. But the spiritual realm is more magnificent due to its being full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. The material creations are manifested for some time as perverted shadows of the spiritual kingdom, and can be likened to cinemas. They attract people of less intelligent caliber, who are attracted by false things. Such foolish men have no information of the reality, and they take it for granted that the false material manifestation is the all in all. But more intelligent men, guided by sages like Vyas and Nard, know that the eternal kingdom of God is more delightful, larger, and eternally full of bliss and knowledge. Those who are not conversant with the activities of the Lord and his transcendental realm are sometimes favored by the Lord in his adventures as incarnations, wherein he displays the eternal bliss of his association in the transcendental realm. By such activities, he attracts the conditioned souls of the material world. Some of these conditioned souls are engaged in the false enjoyment of material senses, and others in simply negating their real life in the spiritual world. These less intelligent persons are known as karmis, or fruitive workers, and jnanis, or dry mental speculators. But above these two classes of men is the transcendentalist, known as Sattvata, or the devotee, who is busy neither with rampant material activity nor with material speculation. He is engaged in the positive service of the Lord. Mosquito. And thereby he derives the highest spiritual benefit unknown to the karmis and jnanis. As the supreme controller of both the material and spiritual worlds, the Lord has different incarnations of unlimited categories. Incarnations like Brahma, Rudra, Manu, Prithu, and Vyas are his material, qualitative incarnations. But his incarnations like Ram, Narasimha, Varaha, and Vaman are his transcendental incarnations. Lord Sri Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations, and he is therefore the cause of all causes. Text 18. Ata kya hi harer diman avatar kata subha lila vida hata shvairam ishvarasyat mamayaya. Ata kya hi harer diman avatar kata subha lila vidad hata svairam ishvarasyatma mayaya. Ata kya hi harer diman avatar kata subha lila vidad hata Svairam Ishvarasyatma Mayaya. Ata, therefore, Akyahi, describe, Harehi, of the Lord, Diman, O sagacious one, Avatara, incarnations, Kata, narratives, Shubha, auspicious, Leela, adventures, Vididhataha, performed. Svairam, pastimes. Ishvarasya, of the Supreme Controller. Atma, personal. Maya, energies. Translation. O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. Purport. For the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material worlds, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appears in many thousands of forms of incarnations, and the specific adventures found in those transcendental forms are all auspicious. But those who are present during such activities and those who hear the transcendental narrations of such activities are benefited. This is the text 18, and then below you see text 19, and again text 19. So I'll move to 19 now. Vayam tu na vitripyama uttama shloka vikrame Yat Srimatam Rasa Jnanam Svadu Svadu Pade Pade Vayam tu na vitripyama uttama shloka vikrame Yat Srimatam Rasa Jnanam Svadu Svadu Pade Pade Vayam tu na vitripyama uttama shloka vikrame Yat Srimatam Rasa Jnanam Svadu Svadu Pade Pade Vayam, we, too, but, na, not, Vitripyamaha, shall be at rest, Uttama Shlok, the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by transcendental prayers. Vikrame, adventures, Yat, which, Srinvatam, by continuous hearing, Ras, humor. Jnanam, those who are conversant with. Svadu, relishing. Svadu, palatable. Pade, pade, at every step. Translation. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. There is a great difference between mundane stories, purport. There is a great difference between mundane stories, fiction, or history, and the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The histories of the whole universe contain references to the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord. The Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Puranas are histories of the bygone ages recorded in connection with the pastimes of the incarnations of the Lord, and therefore remain fresh even after repeated readings. For example, anyone may read Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly throughout his whole life and yet find in them new light of information. Mundane news is static, whereas transcendental news is dynamic, inasmuch as the spirit is dynamic and matter is static. Those who have developed a taste for understanding the transcendental subject matter are never tired of hearing such narrations. One is quickly satiated by mundane activities, but no one is satiated by transcendental or devotional activities. Uttama Shlok indicates that literature which is not meant for nescience. Mundane literature is in the mode of darkness or ignorance, whereas transcendental literature is quite different. Transcendental literature is above the mode of darkness, and its light becomes more luminous with progressive reading and realization of the transcendental subject matter. The so-called liberated persons are never satisfied by the repetition of the words Aham Brahmasmi. Such artificial realization of Brahman becomes hackneyed, and so to relish real pleasure, they turn to the narrations of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who are not so fortunate turn to altruism and worldly philanthropy. This means the Mayapad philosophy is mundane, whereas the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental. Thank you very much.